Hello everyone, Dr. Rich Castellano here. So excited to share with you what my team has been doing to generate over 4.5 million in cosmetic revenue, where I am the sole provider, accepting no insurance and having the time of my life. An honor to do this with Bellus Medical and Practice Profitability MD. For those of you who don't know me, I am a double board certified facial plastic and reconstructive surgeon, Wall Street Journal bestselling author. I have performed over 4,000 facelifts under local anesthesia, and I personally inject over 200 syringes of filler every month. It wasn't always like this, though. There was a time when I was nearly bankrupt, and I didn't think it was possible to crash my business, yet it happened. So wherever you are, you're probably not on the verge of bankruptcy. My goal is to open up the possibilities to you and get you connected with what you need to achieve the practice and revenue stream of your dreams. We are also very excited to introduce to you Angela McDonald. Angela McDonald joined Bellus Medical in its infancy and was one of its first employees 6 years ago. And at that time, she developed and led their national sales team. She was a critical part of the Skin Pen launch, assisted in developing the skin-fused post-microneedling protocol, and launched the new FDA-cleared Skin Pen Precision. You will hear how she helps practices get great results with the Skin Pen technology, creating highly satisfied patients while increasing revenue. Today, Angela is the Senior Director of Education and National Accounts, and I am honored to be on this webinar with her. Now, I am going to start out by sharing my strategies for a $4.5 million consultation. We have been sharing these strategies for many years. We have our annual event at the Tampa Convention Center. Doctors fly out from all across the country and bring their teams to get proven strategies that I have used daily to create the success and revenue that I didn't even think was possible when I first started out. If you are looking to grow your practice, increase your revenue, learn how to not just manage your staff, but to create a team of rock star leaders, you're in the right place. As a doctor, you've dedicated your life to this profession and probably have sacrificed incredibly for what you have. And what I have found from talking to doctors who have worked so hard, so many of them are successful by most other people's standards. However, these doctors themselves feel that they are not achieving the results that truly makes them feel successful. Now, as a doctor, people will tell you, well, you should be happy. The thing is that when you know you're capable of achieving more and you've sacrificed a great amount to get there, I'm here to say that no one knows what you should be happy with, except if you have a desire to make an additional $1 million, or if you have a desire to not have staff infighting, to not waste your time with consults that don't show or tire kickers. These dreams can come true. And in today's webinar, I'm going to share with you what I've done to make this happen in my practice. Because we work too hard to not have what we desire. Your time is valuable, and I'm going to share with you how to get the most out of your time so you can get the most out of your practice. Because a productive, happy staff that anticipates your needs, it's not a dream. And there's my happy and productive staff, and they take such great care of me. I'm excited to show you how we create this in our office and many other offices all across the country. Now, we know that physician burnout is an epidemic, and on this webinar, we're going to show with you what must be in place in your practice to cure this. Finally, the competition is growing more fierce, more so than any time in the history of plastic surgery, and it's only getting more crowded in the aesthetic market. Where does this leave you as the years go by and the competition keeps growing? So right now, you're going to want to pay close attention, eliminate any distractions. If you have tabs open, let's close them all out because we need to focus. You're going to set that phone on silent. Close the door to the office. You're going to want to leave this next hour just for you. You work 24/7 in your practice and you want to devote this time to learn how to become more efficient. Here's what you're going to discover in today's webinar, the 7 C's to a profitable practice. I am going to share with you the 7 things that every practice must have in place to go from the ups and downs of seasonal roller coaster revenue to my schedule's busy all the time. Just this past July, over $470,000 of revenue was collected in my office, even though I took 10 days off during a slow summer month. And this is because we use the 7 C's every day. This system allowed me to generate over $3.4 million in cosmetic revenue in 2017 and over $4.5 million in 2018. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered or asked yourself, why isn't my practice busier? Have you ever felt like you had all the pieces of the puzzle, but still weren't doing as well as you thought you should? Have you ever wondered how you could challenge your staff to be more productive and become team players? Have you ever been so frustrated with your staff because they keep making the same mistakes over and over? Have you ever looked at how hard you worked and thought to yourself, I'm putting in the time, why the heck aren't we making more money? Well, join the club. At one point, I was asking those exact same questions. How did I solve those challenges? A little background so you can really understand how I got from near bankruptcy to where I am today. I don't know about you, but when I became a doctor, I was inspired to heal people because of my own personal experiences. When I was 7 years old, I spent 2.5 years of my life in a wheelchair and on crutches because of a hip condition I had. When I was 11, my mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia. My parents divorced, and from that point forward, I struggled with depression in high school and college. And what really got me through is the doctors that took extraordinary care of me and my family members that showed me that no matter how low I may have felt, if I spent time around people that were smiling, laughing, and having a good time, it just made me feel better. It lifted me up, and it made a difference in my life. So I am addicted to healing others and making a difference in their lives and making them smile. When I graduated from medical school, I was so excited to take care of my patients. However, I was intimidated by the office management, and I turned it over 100% to my manager. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because we're really not taught business in medical school. So I allowed my office manager to take care of everything so I could be the doctor, and things started building and growing. Everything in my practice was running just fine. I will never forget the day that I saw my office manager. The look on his face, it looked like one of his family members had passed. He pulled me into a meeting, and from out of nowhere, Rich, we need to file for bankruptcy. I didn't believe him at first. I was in shock. I felt sick in my stomach, like someone had just kicked me. I literally had no idea what was going on in my practice. It took me hitting rock bottom. I found out I couldn't even make my mortgage payments. I lost my house. I was on the verge of closing the doors to my practice. We couldn't even buy Botox, not to mention all the money and time wasted trying to figure it out by myself. Big mistake. So I read all the books and attended all the seminars looking for answers, but it wasn't until I finally invested in the best business advisors and coaching mentors that everything started taking off. This was a wise decision. I decided that I wasn't going to take business advice from people who were not running successful businesses. I was going to turn to people who understood what it really took to create successful business and also were able to guide me to do the same. Hiring these mentors was one of the best decisions I ever made, and this was the pathway to going over 4.5 million in cosmetic revenue in 2018, and we're on pace to break 5 million this year. Doctors from across the country and internationally are a part of our annual live CME program. I perform these trainings for medical students, military, teachers, attorneys, and medical associations. We get millions of views on our social media from implementing our rockstar marketing, winning numerous awards for our practice, including Most Compassionate Doctor 5 years in a row, Aesthetic Show Facial Filler Award, Entrepreneurial Awards, invited to train all over the world. So wherever you are on your journey, what I'm going to share with you today is exactly what I've done to go from near bankruptcy to where we are today. And some of the things I'm going to share with you, you may be tempted to say, I know. And if you catch yourself saying this, ask yourself, even if I do know this, do I practice this? Do you actually do this? If the answer is no, then you really want to pay even closer attention and take even more notes, because something I say in this webinar today could be the thing that makes it all click to go from knowing to doing, from practicing to profitability. Besides, I know spelled backwards is wonky. And even if you do know and you're not earning $3 to $5 million per provider, then I'm excited for you, because with the right scripts and protocols, you can definitely create the practice of your dreams. So how did we do it? What made the difference? What I'm going to share with you today is what we changed and what we continue to do today that is putting me on track to create over $5 million in revenue this year. Let's start with the fundamentals, the 7 C's. You cannot completely optimize your office without focusing on these, and not just doing these, but doing them well. Please be honest with yourself and ask yourself, do you actually do all of these activities? So what are the 7 C's? Number 1, charge ups. Number 2, cash goals. Number 3, calls. Number 4, clients. Number 5, consults. Number 6, conversions. And number 7, cancels. When we were close to bankruptcy, we did not have 7 C's. We had like half of a C. One by one, we started doing these things, which put us on our path to a multi-million-dollar practice. Now, in today's webinar, I'm going to touch on each one of these. I could spend an entire day on each one of these, but I'm going to dive deep on my consultations because this is where most doctors benefit the most. If your team has not been trained exceptionally well in consults, and if they're not monitored, you only need to say one thing wrong, and the patient won't buy. Performing the consultation correctly will set expectations and create happy and loyal patients in advance. So we're going to go deep into the consultations in this webinar, but first, an overview of the 7 C's. Number 1, charge ups. What is a charge up? A charge up is when you say or do something that energizes your team, resulting in them taking action, having more fun, and feeling inspired in their daily activities. This is important because your team needs emotional energy to do their best. An energized team will produce more and invest this energy back to your patients and your profits. An unexcited team puts a damper on patients choosing or enjoying their treatments. For those of you who have dogs, we all know how excited dogs get when their owner gets home. We match their excitement, we say nice things, we give them a hug, or we pet them. I'm not saying you need to scratch your team behind the ears. Bottom line, we should not treat dogs better than we treat our team. Showing your team how much you care goes a long way. Charge ups make sure that this happens. Number 2, cash goals. A cash goal is a written number that defines how much revenue you want to bring in on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. Cash goals are important because without a target or a goal, we don't reach our true potential. Cash goals show confidence in your team and allows them to push themselves, pace themselves, and look for ways to constantly improve. Cash goals also prevent distractions, and they teach your team to turn an attitude of, let's see what we get today, into, I'm going for this. And you want to get the team together, and it's fun and exciting to do cash goals correctly. It was so embarrassing when I first started posting daily goals because I didn't want staff to think I was greedy or that I was making something up out of thin air and would probably forget about it later. But I stuck with it. We made fun out of posting our cash goals, and the team's competitive spirit came out. Then something special happened. My team started making their own goals, and we keep raising the bar from $5,000 a day to over $25,000 a day. This is our April calendar, and you can see the goal of $23,410. We posted underneath what we hit. This was April of 2019. We did $485,000. Cash goals work. Number 3, calls. An outbound phone call is when your team reaches out to your existing patients to reactivate them to buy again. Outbound phone calls are important because leads are expensive, and the best people to sell to are our own satisfied customers. Calls also prime your marketing because patients need multiple touches. Calls will prevent missed opportunities of reconnecting with patients who love you and help fill unnecessary holes in the schedule. When things were at their lowest, I picked up 20 charts and I called them all in 2 hours. I made 3 appointments and that led to thousands of dollars in revenue. I was hooked. We later calculated that a full-time outbound caller could easily make 800 or 1,000 calls per month, easily paying their salary with conversions. Number 4, clients. Classifying clients in your sales funnel is a way to measure and categorize client behaviors and trends so that you can best predict and satisfy their needs, which will then improve conversions and revenue. Stratifying clients is a powerfully important way to run your practice because not all clients are the same, and patients appreciate it, they spend more, and they're happier when their needs are better understood. Stratifying clients prevents losing conversions because you're not prepared to upsell or downsell the patients correctly. For example, I have patients all the time that come in asking for fillers. We deliver our filler script, and I plant the seed that if they are a good candidate, they might be happier with a lift. If the patient responds to the idea of a lift, we change the script and we redirect to what they're actually looking for. If the patient is not interested in surgery at all, well, it's really important to avoid talking about this, even if they would really enjoy a surgical result. Number 5, consultations. So as we all know, consultations can make or break a practice, and that's why today I'm going to be spending the majority of the webinar focusing on this. I'm going to dive deep on consultations and take you through exactly what I focus on so that patients can convert themselves. To give you an overview, I will briefly go through the rest of the 7 C's and then bring it home with consultations. Because when you're doing consultations correctly, this is what your practice should look like. Number 6, conversions. Used to be scary for me, and we would hope patients would like us better than the other doctors in our area. Now we share our treatments with far greater value and with far greater confidence. We know that the likelihood they're going to be happier elsewhere is extremely low. So we have an obligation to deliver value and make them happy now. Number 7, cancellation. It's when a patient signs up for a procedure, and even though they've paid a deposit or paid in full, they have psychologically and physically committed to the treatment. Now they have signed and they're asking for their money back. Cancellations are important because when you understand them, you can often prevent or turn them into a reschedule, a downsell, an upsell, and accurately satisfy your patient's needs. Cancellations can also become a lot worse if you don't treat them with respect. Online negativity, complaints to the medical board, bringing down your staff's spirits. Cancellations can create doubt amongst your team that their best efforts aren't working. We hear a lot of heartbreaking stories when patients cancel: medical illness, loss of a family member, financial crisis. It's a reminder to us all that life can change on a dime at any time. It just feels good to be able to give something to a patient in need, even though it may make a hole in your schedule. We've never penalized patients financially for cancels or reschedule. Now, now that we have done an overview of the extremely profitable 7 C's, let's focus on my personal favorite, the consultation. How did we get on the pathway to performing rockstar consultations? It started with a question. I would see patients come in and consult, and some didn't sign up. So I asked the question, why didn't they sign up? We realized that my team was not asking patients specifically why, and they didn't know or ask about their budget. When my team was told, let me think about it, or let me discuss it with my spouse, or I don't have the money, they would stop and they would not advocate for the patient. That's not acceptable. You cannot let a consult leave your office without assisting them in creating a plan to heal their wound. So what is their plan that they so desperately are searching for? And how do you get to this plan when the patient just wants to jump ship and leave the office by saying, let me think about it, or let me discuss with my significant other, or I don't have the money? So we created a basic format of what my team does to deliver the consultation that instantly builds trust and allows for the greatest number of conversions. This made me get very clear on what was needed for an amazing consultation. And this is what allowed us to go over 4.5 million in cosmetic revenue in 2018. What are consultations really about? Why are these patients showing up to the office, and how can I serve them best? We all know our patients are in pain. They see their aging changes. They are treated differently by others now that they look older, and they may feel invisible. They just want to feel better about themselves and feel useful. Or they've been bullied and they want to improve an imperfection. Often they're bullying themselves. So what is the best way to help them with their pain? I have a question for you. If you have a family member, friend, or loved one knocks on your door at your home, and you open the door, and as you see them, you notice that they're bleeding from their head, what would you do? We bring them in. Are you okay? What happened? Let's get you taken care of. Let's put some ice on that. Let's get you some help. And this is the same attitude for a cosmetic consultation. The same urgency. Patients are in a lot of pain, just ask them, and they will tell you when they feel safe. And when you accurately listen and engage them, you will accurately remove their pain. We never forget the things in life that take away our pain. We must see our patient's pain. Most of our patients have been living with this pain for quite some time, and they don't know what to do about it. Because if they did know what to do, they would have done it already. That's why they're in your office, because they're stuck. And all you have to do is be caring and accurate about what you can do for them, and they will forever be loyal to you for taking care of their needs in a way that no one else has done before. And these patients will grow your business. Once we've identified the patient's pain, the next step is to celebrate them. If you come to your office, you will see we do this with all of our patients. We're so happy to see them. We love to celebrate our patients, and we fall in love with them because my team is trained in charge-ups. This happens without any extra effort on my part. They automatically know to engage the patient in ways that sets them at ease and eliminates their fears. And through charge-ups, we also set the tone by celebrating their lives. Oh my gosh, you have a reunion? Your son is getting married? Oh, you have a new boyfriend or girlfriend? Oh, you have grandchildren. Well, they're so lucky to have you. You've been a mom or dad your whole life, and now you're investing in you? You want to feel more competitive in the workplace? Awesome. You just want to invest in yourself and feel better about yourself. Wonderful. Now you have more to give to your family, friends, or self. The team has already charged up and engaged the patient, and now I'm going to share with you the exact format of the consultation that we do. We divide the consultation into 3 different sections. We gather information, we give information, and we create a plan. This sounds extremely basic. We all know it isn't what we say, but how we say it. And it isn't what we do, it's how we do it. That's the difference between a $1 million per year and a $4.5 million per year practice. Information gathering. I tell the patient, I'd like to hear it in your words, what your focus is. And then I pause, and maybe they start talking, or if they don't, I give them a little more warm-up room. I say, that way I know we're addressing what's important to you. And I give the energy to them and I let them start talking. And as you listen, you diagnose and create your plan. This is what I call information gathering. So what's going to happen is that the patient's going to start talking and sharing a lot of information. This slide looks like they're in therapy, and our patients are actually in therapy. We are unraveling their story to get at what they really need. If a patient gets emotional, then they're sharing deeply. Less emotional patients are less likely to move forward. And usually, the more emotion they have, the story may not be so organized, and that's okay. It's our job to decipher and show that we can heal their pain. While we are information gathering, there are 5 things that we assess. We assess their referral source. Who referred you to us? This can break the ice, give insight to their personality or social network, and allow you to write a thank you card to whomever referred them to you. We assess their personality smile score, how serious they are. Are they a high, middle, or low smiler? Some people smile no matter what happens to them. Well, I guess I got a flat tire. And some people, no matter what happens to them, they never smile. So let me ask you a question. If you have someone in a consultation and you cannot get them to smile throughout the entire consultation, what is the likelihood that they're going to smile after your very best treatment? It's pretty low. So you have to screen patients carefully. Higher smilers are more likely to be satisfied, and lower smilers are more likely to complain. So be careful. We look at their anatomy. Do they need tightening, volume, skin treatment, or all 3? Are their expectations in line with what you can achieve? What are the 2 or 3 best options for the patient to choose from based on their anatomy? We confirm the medical history with their intake sheet. Redundancy is good here because most people don't remember their medical history accurately. Lastly, we put together a preliminary treatment plan. What treatments will you recommend? What do you feel will truly make them happy? And while we're doing these things, we must never consider their budget until they tell you how much they think it costs, or we share the actual pricing with them. So this is information gathering. When we get to information giving, we are the ones who are now doing the talking. The first thing we tell them is a summary of what they said, allowing them to nod their head and confirm. We want to make sure that they give us the nonverbal approval. We know if they are on board or if they're not, and if they aren't, we need to ask, is that correct? Next, the mirror demonstration. This is where you sit with the patient in front of the mirror, have them demonstrate what their concern is, and then you demonstrate to them what you think that they can do. This allows you to very quickly affirm in the patient's mind that they are in the right ballpark and you are addressing their need. If I pull their jowls back in the mirror like it's a little facelift, very quickly I get a yes from them. You don't want to talk a while and have them wondering throughout the whole consultation, can they really do anything for me? I may also briefly discuss areas they didn't prioritize, but that they might enjoy a treatment. For example, I ask, how do you feel about this area? If they express an interest, I say, well, this is what the lift, or this is what the eyelid treatment or the filler treatment may do. We must be careful not to offend and point out something that makes them feel bad about themselves. I will say, if it is not a priority for you, it isn't a priority for me. This is something our patients enjoy. And I have a take it or leave it attitude that I'm not emotionally attached to. This allows the patients to tell you, no, that really doesn't bother me. Or, yeah, I really would like to treat my eyes or use the filler. They are trusting you for your artistic and expert opinion. We do need to prompt them. Do you have any questions about other areas? Don't leave them hanging or omit treatment areas if you feel they would enjoy it because you just don't want to offend them. Also, reinforce, we always look our best when we smile, or personality outshines any physical feature. You don't want a patient to get fixated on just one area. It's about more than that. Now, when we are information giving, it's important that we don't overwhelm. Sometimes doctors can snow patients with information like they're trying to pass their oral board exams. So I break things down into the 4 areas that we treat. Have you ever stopped explaining something to a patient and felt like the patient didn't fully understand? That's why we classify this information in a way that makes it easy for them to make a decision. The goal is to get a yes from them after each step of the way. This way you know the patient is following you. We start with these 4 treatment areas and this prevents patient overwhelm. So the 4 areas we address, number 1, if there is sagging, then we tighten. I wait for the patient to say yes. If we lose volume, then we fill. Makes sense. They give me a nod. Sun damage, wrinkles, and sunspots to the skin. We can polish and repair the skin. They nod their head yes. And the most important thing we do to our face is our behavior. And have fun with this. This is your chance to build rapport and trust and have fun with a big smile. Mother Nature's free facelet. That usually gets a yes or a laugh from them. And this allows the patients to realize that personality always outshines physical feature. And I love the Dolly Parton quote. She says, if it's sagging, dragging, or bagging, then I'm going to suck it, tuck it, or pluck it. So we break things down so patients can easily understand them. Now, I go through the rules for good plastic surgery. These are our principles. And again, you want to get a yes from each one of them, in each one of these categories from the patient. So how do you know if you're getting good plastic surgery or good aesthetic treatments? Number 1, safety first. Number 2, you must look natural. This is the number 1 reason patients won't choose a treatment. They don't want to look freakish or overdone. Number 3, let's prevent future aging changes. This is important to remind the patients that no matter how we look, with aging, it's going to keep coming. It's going to keep getting worse. So this means there's a sense of urgency. So let's get started. And let's get as much improvement as possible. And they'll nod their head and say, yes, they want to get as much improvement. And of course, we can't make it perfect. And I pause and say, right, we're not God. Wait for them to nod their head. Some of them will laugh at this and say, well, yes, you are. And they'll show you right away if they say, I do want to look lifted. I do want to look a little unrealistic. And you can have a good laugh about this. Say, well, you know, we have to diffuse unrealistic expectations. We're here to create happy patients and happy doctors. So we've got to make sure expectations are on the same page. What are our 3 philosophies? These are the good, better, best options. Patients ask all the time, well, should I do the filler or should I do the lift? How do you strategize and prioritize their treatment options? And I tell them, if someone wants their very best results, there isn't much discussion. We know how to do that. We combine treatments. These are all patients that have done filler, lifting, laser treatments, combination. If somebody wants their best results with just one treatment, well, then we offer the lift. And if someone wants their best results with no downtime, we talk about fillers. This is a full face filler session. Now, fillers do a great job, but they definitely don't give us a facelift, right? And facelifts gets wonderful results, but combination is always better. So when you present it to them in this way, this allows the patient to know there's always another level and that one treatment modality will not treat everything. Now, if the patient expectations seem high, or if the patient has a very intense personality, have you ever seen that before? Then we share this. You know, we never see ourselves the way that others do. Wait for them to say yes. People say, yeah, that is true. We never see ourselves the same way. Sometimes we can be a little hard on ourselves. Again, wait for them to say, yeah, I know somebody who's maybe a little hard on myself. Yeah, I'm a little hard on myself. And the self-conscious patients will confess and even laugh a little bit at this. Then I say, you know, this is so fascinating to me because we don't see ourselves the same way, but we're looking at the same thing. Why is that? It is because when we look at others, we glance and they are social. Everything is moving. But when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we do not glance. I stare at my hand and I say, we stare and we glare and we're serious and intense. And if people see us staring at ourselves in the mirror, we think that's okay. Have you ever tried to stare and glare at someone else and look for their imperfections? They're going to call for help, maybe run away. I then tell the patient, I say this very loudly, we should never stare and glare at other people. And we should never stare and glare at ourselves. It just doesn't make us feel good. This should invite a little laughter. We don't want to take ourselves too seriously. We just want to be happy. And it is important that we get our patients to laugh. You must show them that you have confidence, control, lightness, and ease. And if you take things too seriously in advance, they're going to take it really seriously afterwards, and their expectations may just be too high. Now, this is where the next step is we finalize a plan that allows them to buy, and we physically draw out the plan so they can see it visually. And here's where I discuss the risks and benefits. Most patients just listen and nod. Occasionally, they have a question about the risks, and you pose each risk as an advantage, discussing how you minimize or eliminate that risk with your processes, experience, and planning. How do the patients respond to what you have told them? Are they listening to you? Do they appear as if they're on board, on the fence, or on the way out? Once we've done the consultation, then the patient starts to ask recovery questions or questions about expectations, and then we manage objections. When the patient questions start to fizzle, the best way I love to wrap up is I tell them, you know, I have a question of my own. Why are you doing this now? You must carefully, curiously, and thoughtfully answer this question and follow it with silence. Don't keep talking. They will then open up and tell you all the reasons that they should buy, allowing you to say, great, let's get you taken care of. Let's proceed to signing on the dotted line. Do they still have objections? Do we need to upsell or downsell them? What are their hidden objections? Commonly, we'll hear from patients, it's the money objection. It's expensive. So I tell them, yeah, it's expensive. Yes, and it's worth every penny. You get what you pay for. Please, whatever you do, don't choose the lowest price. I'm worried about you. Default to the why question. If they get stuck on money, ask them, I understand the finances are an issue for you. If you did do this treatment, why would you do it? And this allows them to mentally try on the treatment, mentally feel the relief of their pain, and give them the motivation to make it a reality. Now, what about time? Patients complain about this all the time. I don't have time for this. Well, we have no downtime options. Or maybe, maybe they need to take the time to do this. I understand that you don't have the time, but if you do want the result, we need to find the time and do it right to match your expectations. We don't want you to be disappointed with results that are less than what you're expecting. Are their downtime objections physical or social downtime? Perhaps they don't care how they look, but they just want to be active very quickly. Or maybe they don't care about activity, but they do want to look good very quickly. And then I will also default to the why question if you get stuck here with them. If you did do this treatment, I'm curious, why would you do it? Maybe they have a deep fear of pain, scarring, or unnatural appearance, or an unknown fear. We will make you comfortable. Have you seen our videos or testimonials? Let them know the scar locations or incisions, they're very difficult to see. And always strive towards getting natural looking results so that patients feel comfortable. And again, you can default to the why question. Yeah, I'm curious, if you did do this treatment, why would you do it? And don't you love it when patients tell you, I need to discuss it with my spouse, partner, or significant other, the decision maker. So what do? You align and agree. Great idea. They only want the best for you. And then you pivot. Now, they may not want you to do this, but they do want you to be happy. And I'll ask them, I'm curious, do they invest in things for their pleasure that don't interest you? Well, yeah, he's got a boat. Yeah, he goes on golf vacations. Yeah, he goes out with his buddies, he or she. Well, this is your boat. This is your vacation. Or just make them a nice dinner and have some wine and wait until they're in a good mood. Then pop the question. And you can always default to your why. If you did do this treatment, I'm curious, why would you do it? So once you've gone through objection management, you agree to a treatment plan with or without an appropriate upsell or a downsell. We agree to the timeline. We agree to the price. If they want a discount, you never give it unless you offer added value first. Don't just give away money. We used to do this all the time. Offer them a little extra Botox or a filler or an extra peel package, or give them extra value instead of giving away money to close the deal. If you need to do it, but make sure you've given them their best value first before you make those decrease in price changes, and try and discuss it with your team to avoid that if at all possible. Minor details of the deal should be discussed after they buy unless they are presented as an initial objection. The details always sort themselves out afterwards when you focus on the important things. Details like who's going to drive them to treatment. Do they need a hotel, yes or no? Do they need a medical clearance? Do they have special requests? Do they need pharmacy considerations if they need certain medication? Once you've gone through all of this, then you perform their treatment, deliver their dream transformation, and a big celebration for a job well done. Doing the consultation properly should allow your patient to fall in love with you, with your team, and your services. Signing up becomes a natural choice, a foregone conclusion, a choice that they would feel bad or strange about if they didn't make it. They could never consider going somewhere else. That is the goal of a proper consultation. You have set the foundation for good expectations so that even if the patient is not happy with their results, they still love you because you educated them correctly and let them know that you may need additional treatments and there are limitations on the results. We're not God. We can't make things perfect. Bottom line, consultations are the foundation of your brand and your practice. Your business is made up of patient relationships, and your consultations make these relationships. What I've just shared with you is exactly what I do in the consultation myself with my team. I really wanted to give you the primary things that I do that would give you the most bang for your buck to help patients make a decision right now. Now, as I mentioned, the consultation is just one part of creating over $4.5 million a year in cosmetic revenue. With what you've learned today, it will be safe to say your conversions will increase. I'd like to invite you not just to get an increase in conversions, but to really take your entire practice to a new level. Imagine if you could wake up in the morning and go into work knowing that your team will be focusing on what matters and what will grow your practice. What if when you walk into your office, you were greeted with energy that inspired you? Your team engaged patients with such a wonderful energy and they said the things that needed to be said. What would it be like if you didn't have to constantly look over your staff's shoulder to make sure they weren't messing things up, slacking off, or spending time on things that didn't really make a difference? Here's the problem Doctors and medical personnel are often not trained in business. Just trying to figure it out means you will spend a lot of money and time on trial and error, experimenting with processes that are not proven to work. Simply put, when I talk to doctors across the country and hear what they're asking for, doctors just want the knowledge, what works, how to do it, when to do it, and what they need to tell their staff and their patients. This way, doctors can focus on what they do best, taking care of patients. And I understand these doctors because I was there. For me, the turning point was I was busy as I could be, and my office manager tells me we're going to have to go for bankruptcy. My back was on the mat. I felt pain in my stomach. I had to turn things around. I sought help, mentorship and coaching. I discovered things I didn't know that I didn't even know, and I stayed focused. Day after day, we built a more productive and profitable practice, and I'm proud to share this and contribute to the growth and profitability of other practices too. For example, Dr. Albert and Dr. Jackie Cheng, they were skeptical at first. They thought they heard everything at the meetings before, and now there's these strategies. What more could we add? Our approach has been transformative to them. Their revenue's up almost 40%. Of course, results vary based on the work you put in, but these systems create happy patients, happy staff, happy life, and more profitability. Dr. Larry Fan was so excited that it could help him change his practice skills on a fundamental level. They were so pumped when they closed 5 consults in one day, and they felt the cost of the system was very modest compared to the time and expertise. Dr. Adam Schafter, triple board certified facial plastic and body plastic surgeon, wasn't sure it was going to be worth his time. He finds this as inspiration and motivation to him and his team that makes him a better doctor, manager, and a better man. I'm so honored by his compliments. So to assist you in being the next success story in the making, we have a few surprises for you. For the first 10 people who click on the link, you can go to calendly.com/ppmd. We can set up an appointment and I will personally get on the phone with you and use the 7 C's to find your hidden revenue. And as a bonus, you will also get a free PDF on some of the top places your revenue is hiding in your practices. If you don't find a calendar spot that fits you, you can also text me your availability, 813-422-8444. We can try to be flexible, but we are saving priority for our first 10 appointments that sign up. We will also be giving the PDF along with this to show you where practice is hiding revenue. It's so common and so easy to find. So please take advantage of this. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce someone to you that is very important to me. We have brought SkinPen into our practice. It generated over $100,000 in revenue over this past year. And the best news is I have not performed a single one of these treatments. My esthetician does it all. Angela, I thank you for what SkinPen has done in my practice. Please welcome Angela McDonald, Senior Director of Education and National Accounts for Bellus Medical. Angela, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me, Dr. Castellano?
I certainly can. I'm just going to put myself on mute and I'll advance your slide. So just let me know as you want to advance and I'll be right here.
Wonderful. Thank you. So clearly, Dr. Castellano's 7 C's are critical, especially when you consider this first fact in my first slide. The cost to attract a new customer is 6 times the cost to keep one. So it forces you to sit back and think, what can you do as a practice to ensure once a patient steps into the door, how do you keep them coming back into your practice? How do you retain them long term? Next slide. The answer is you look for ways to create highly satisfied patients. So Dr. Castellano went over several ways from a practice perspective that you can do such. So we approach it as a provider of therapies to practices. We look at it from a little different perspective. We look at it from a perspective of what do you look for in terms of therapies to bring into your practice to create highly satisfied patients? What do you look for in terms of practice partners, the companies that you choose to partner with to help you be successful with these therapies? Next slide. So when you're looking at therapies to bring into your practice, consider where today's savvy medical aesthetic patient is. You want to meet patients where they are today. What are they looking for from practices? And one of the things with Bellus Medical, we launched 6 years ago with SkinPen as our flagship product. It was the product that we used to launch the company. It's obviously been a great success as we have progressed technology over the last 6 years to be the first FDA-approved microneedling pen on the market. So why were we willing to not only launch Bellus Medical with this product, but to spend millions of dollars and years to not only come out with the first U.S. engineered and manufactured pen, but also to take it all the way through a costly and strenuous FDA process? And the reasons are here. We knew that SkinPen was meeting patients where they were today, what they were looking for from a procedure. We know that patients are looking for little to no downtime. We are a time-poor society. So anything that we can do to drive results but allow patients to keep on their normal lifestyle and their normal schedule, then that is acceptable, and that's what patients desire. We knew there was a subset of the population that was looking for a natural solution. The word toxin doesn't appeal to everyone, especially not right off. So it can be something that once you get them into your practice, you can warm them up to the idea of other procedures, but sometimes they're just looking for a natural approach. And we knew with SkinPen in particular that it was a mechanical source of rejuvenation. All it was doing was triggering a natural process in the body, and therefore it was going to speak to those patients who were looking for a natural solution. So you may recognize those patients when they walk into your practice. Those are going to be the ones when you ask them if they're using skincare products, they say, yes, I buy them from Whole Foods. Or they're the ones who are going to walk into your practice fit and in their workout clothes because they just left the gym. That's going to be a message that's really going to resonate with them. It's going to be important to recognize those patients and then to speak their language once you do recognize them. We knew that patients were looking for a procedure with low risk. If they don't have time for downtime, they clearly don't have time to address an adverse event. So we knew that SkinPen would be able to offer that to patients. We knew that patients ultimately wanted a procedure that was proven to be safe and proven to be effective. And that's what led us to invest in the venture of being the first FDA-approved microneedling device on the market. We knew that's something that not only practices desired to be able to protect their practice, but patients desired because they knew the difference between proven and not. And we knew that patients were ultimately looking for, or if given the choice, would choose a comfortable procedure. So not all patients, especially in the beginning when they're first venturing into medical aesthetics, are ready for procedures that are more painful. And that's why we consider SkinPen a gateway technology. Many times it's a great way to get patients started in a practice because it meets all of the criteria that you see here to create happy patients. Next slide. So then you're also looking for a procedure that is not only meets the needs of today's patients, but it's proven to be safe and effective and to create highly satisfied patients. In the case of SkinPen, we actually have an FDA clinical trial. It's what got us through the FDA process. And though we sell our procedure typically in packages of 3 to 6, we knew through our trial that 80% of patients, even after one procedure, rated themselves as improvement in their skin. That's what was exciting about the therapy. That's what really led us to invest over the years in continuing to progress SkinPen, because we knew that although they had signed up for 3 to 6 procedures, that the majority of them were hooked even after the first. The 3 to 6, the packaging allowed us to have more time for practices to have more time with those patients, to build rapport, and to build the dynamic results that really come from the repetitiveness of the procedure. So at the end of our study, not only did we prove safety and efficacy that led to FDA approval, we also showed that the majority of patients were either rated themselves as satisfied or extremely satisfied with the results. And in the first month post-treatment, no subjects reported themselves as being dissatisfied. So again, being able to create a satisfied patient from the first procedure and allowing practices to be able to add to that satisfaction as patients came back into their practice and experienced a more dynamic result. Next slide. And that's what led to anecdotal, responses like this from some of our customers. I have to say this was a quote that was given to me, and I've never forgotten it, and I've used it often because it's one of those days when you launch a technology and you bring it into patient to practices nationwide, and you do the work to progress the technology, and you do the work with a clinical trial to take it through FDA procedure, and you get that new device in a practice's hands, and this is the kind of quote you get. If from a laser institute in Houston, Texas, if I had known the results I could achieve with SkinPen, I would have never bought a CO2 laser. And that was a proud moment. We knew then that we had not only brought a technology into practices that met today's patient where they are, but allowed practices from a practice perspective to drive the results they were looking to drive. Next slide. So then it was a matter of what gaps can our technology fill within practices? And as you're evaluating technologies to bring into your practice, consider this, or technologies you already have in your practice. What gaps can each of those fill within your practices? The gaps that we identified in particular with SkinPen are, we could treat all Fitzpatrick types, 1 through 6, where some other therapies dropped off at the darker skin types and couldn't provide a safe procedure. There was a greater risk of adverse events. We knew that we were proven through clinical trial to be safe in all Fitzpatrick types. And we knew this was a procedure that could be performed all months of the year. So again, where some therapies, practices want to back off in the summer months and there's loss of revenue for those therapies, SkinPen allowed practices to continue practicing, continue bringing patients into their practice every month of the year. And as we talked about, as I mentioned earlier, we considered SkinPen a gateway procedure. So what procedure do you have in your practice when that medical aesthetic patient walks in the door for the very first time? And again, that's the hard part, getting them in the door. Now it's our job to capture them. What procedure are you going to introduce first? We would suggest SkinPen in that case because of all the reasons we've discussed: little to no downtime, comfortable procedure, dynamic results, and sold in packages that allowed you to bring that patient back into your practice 3, 6, maybe even 12 times a year. We knew that it offered practices alternatives to heat or chemical-based therapies. So that created a real advantage for practices to have an option when they had a patient in front of them that could have been satisfied by heat or chemical-based therapy, but they knew that that patient would be at risk, to think of SkinPen as an alternative to those therapies. Again, we'll talk about the natural or organic approach that patients are sometimes looking for in practices. We knew that we could fill that gap. Cost effective. There are some therapies that are as effective as SkinPen, but maybe it's just simply that that other therapies are too costly for patients. So we knew we could fill that gap for creating an affordable procedure that is accessible for most patients. And again, most importantly, being able to fit into a busy lifestyle for that patient who said, I don't have time for skincare, when you would try to introduce skincare products to them. And I know you've all heard those patients. And it's hard to believe that they don't have a few minutes a night, but from their perspective, they don't. And so to introduce a therapy to them that could keep them out of their busy schedule for 2-3 days isn't acceptable to them. We knew that SkinPen could fill the gap for little to no downtime. Next slide. And that's why you've really seen microneedling emerge as the foundation of medical aesthetic practices today. So for those of you who are just getting started with your practice and you're trying to determine, where do I get started? This is what's really emerged. Practices are beginning today with a neurotoxin, fillers, chemical peels, and microneedling for all the reasons that we've previously discussed, looking for therapies that drive the results, that fit into the lifestyles, that meet patients where they are today. Next slide. And then finally, you're looking for a procedure that drives revenue in your practice. And I think you just heard Dr. Castellano's testimonial on what SkinPen has done for his practice. It isn't uncommon. We typically go into practices and we talk about just with 3 new patients per week. If those 3 new patients were to buy a package of 3 treatments, and that's a modest number, at $350 per treatment, which is our national average, that would bring in revenue $164,000 per year for that practice. And that's where we get started. We grow it from there. For that particular scenario, the cost of product, what a practice would have to buy from us to be able to fulfill that $164,000 revenue, is about $20,000 in consumables to be able to perform those procedures. So the ROI on this procedure is remarkable, and that's what you're looking for if you're getting started or if you're just trying to grow your practices at this point. What therapies can I bring in that meets today's patient's needs, that drive revenue, and allow me to build my practice? Next slide. And when actually you compare skin pen in particular to some of the most popular therapies and practices today, toxins, fillers, lasers, and you look at what it costs to perform those procedures, what do you have to buy to perform those procedures, you can see that microneedling and skin pen in particular far outweighs other popular therapies in terms of gross margin. And when you factor in who's performing that procedure, how long it takes, and the operating profit is still remarkably higher than other therapies. And then most importantly, when you're trying to build a practice and you're looking for therapies that allow you to bring those patients back into your practice time and time again, Skin Pen offers that. Up to 12 times a year, a patient could be coming into a practice. Most commonly, it's 3 to 6, but if a patient chooses and for the right reason, they could be coming into your practice up to 12 times a year, giving you opportunity to continue to implement the 7 C's that Dr. Castellano was talking about, to build rapport with those patients, and to turn them into a long-term patient and allow you to build your practice. Next slide. And these are the types of testimonials that we get time and time again from doctors. Is Skin Pen is a procedure that patients love, and this is what you're looking for as you're adopting therapies into your practice. A procedure that patients love, a procedure that offers no downtime, a procedure that, as Dr. Castellano said, that he can move to his esthetician that he's not personally performing. He's off doing other procedures for patients, but now his estheticians are driving revenue for his practice. And ultimately, that is driving patient retention, because that's how you build a business. Next slide. So as you're looking for not only the right therapies that allow you to build your business, but also looking for the right aesthetic partner. I can tell you 6 years ago, and many of you may be our customers and remember this, 6 years ago we had a pen that was identical to most of our competitors. So we walked into practices even 6 years ago and said, you know what, it's true. The device that we have to offer is identical to what you can buy elsewhere. And at the end of the day, all of these devices are going to poke holes in the skin. So let's talk about how we as a company are going to help you to be successful with that technology. And this is something that, all practices today, whatever therapies you're adopting, this is something to really consider, is which partner is then going to be helpful in helping you to be successful with that device, not just selling it in, but pulling it through. So what are the things, some of the things to look for as you're choosing the right aesthetic partners? You're looking for technology that's premier in this space, that's most importantly FDA cleared. FDA cleared allows you to not only protect your practice, but protect your patients. In today's medical aesthetic, patients are savvy. They know the difference now. They want the proven safety and efficacy. You're looking for a collaborative company, a sales force, a dedicated sales force that every day is their mission to help you be successful with that technology. Ask any representative who comes into your practice, what are you going to do to help me be successful with this technology? If they don't have a plan and they don't have the resources to help you be successful, then they may not be the right partner for you. Some of the ways that they can be collaborative is show you what does it look like in terms of education to be a customer of theirs. What does it look like to onboard? What are the long-term education opportunities? How do you continue to grow your business? And over time, as I adopt this technology and keep looking to do more and more with it, what are you going to do to help me with that in terms of education and marketing support? Those are really important questions to ask when you're choosing which companies to partner with to help you build your practice. And then the heavy question of, what are you going to do? What does the ROI look like on this product? And what are you going to help me do to help me drive ROI? Because it's important, as we talk about today, to not only satisfied patients, but you got to make sure on the back side of that you can drive revenue through your practice. So I hope that was helpful in giving you several things to add to the 7 C's as you're working with companies to bring technology into your practice, to pull through technology, to be successful with technology, for deciding on technologies, that those are a few things that you can consider along with the 7 C's to help you ultimately grow your business and increase your profitability. Thank you, Dr. Castellano.
Very good. Thank you, Angela. That is wonderful. I am certainly very grateful. SkinPen has made my patients happy. I do like to position SkinPen as one of the best things that they can do to build collagen in their skin with no physical downtime. And if they want more improvement than what SkinPen can do, well, we can talk about laser that does have downtime, but most patients don't want downtime. So the SkinPen is a natural choice. So as SkinPen has made this offer for staying on this long in the webinar, that if you call their 800 number that is a special on their SkinPen device, 800-372-3982, and use the code word profitability, you can get the SkinPen device for $34.95. That is $1,500 off regular price. So that is the price there. Thank you very much for offering that, Angela. That is a very wonderful opportunity. So we wanted to make sure you take advantage of this. Write down that number, 888-372-3982. So we'll be showing that number more, and I've got a few more things we're going to go through. Just if you stay through to the end, thank you for what your energy. If you have stayed on this long, obviously you want to do something for your practice to make a difference, and we still have a little bit more for you. Now, if this has been helpful to you and you would like to build your practice and you would like to have profitability strategies, then right now I want to invite you to our CME event, PPMD Live at the Tampa Convention Center, where you will be able to meet the Bellus medical team and learn even more about creating profit centers with microneedling and SkinPen. We are going to dive deep into the nuts and bolts of the 7 C's. We touched on consultations today. However, consultations are just a part of what happened. To have consultations, you need patients walking in the office and to have a full schedule. This is about understanding calls and cancellations, as well as all the other C's. When you get all 7 C's together in your practice, you will be blown away by the results that you can get in your office. This is why right now I want to invite you to our CME event, PPMD Live, Tampa Convention Center, where I'm teaching the 7 C's and our rockstar marketing strategy that allows me to have a full schedule, get millions of views on social media, and generate millions of dollars. Now, in PPMD Live, you will be able to witness firsthand a finely tuned, well-oiled sales funnel patient conversion machine. And we go through each one of these 7 C's with checklists, scripts, protocols, so that you can see how they all work together. And we break it down for you and your staff step by step so that you and your team can implement this in your office. You should bring your staff to these events so they can learn these things as well. We had a doctor who brought 14 of their staff out from California, and they're still talking about what they got out of it. And we've seen dramatic improvements in both doctors and staff. So we're going to be sharing these exact systems and protocols we use in our office every day. So what are you going to learn at PPMD Live? You're going to learn charge ups. And once you learn these charge ups, you're going to be able to bring your team together every day, build your morale and reduce turnover, minimize infighting, learn how to properly prepare for the patient encounter, and maximize the consult. With cash, you're going to learn the tools to implement in your office to teach your staff to think more like the owner. You're going to raise the team's accountability without killing morale, eliminate the seasonality of business, and learn exactly how to set cash goals and post them daily without fail. Phone calls. You're going to find the money that's sitting right in front of you. Learn the strategy that allows your patient to spend more in your office and send referrals, and learn one thing you can do every day to have your patients fall in love with you and create loyalty. Clients, you're going to learn to master the art of multiple touches to maximize your leads and marketing dollars without feeling pushy. How to correctly engage clients in your sales funnel and avoid losing your patients to your competition. You're going to learn to understand how to effectively pre-sell patients, develop a structure that allows your team to focus more accurately on the patient's needs rather than a shotgun approach. We did a lot in consultations today, but there's more. You're going to learn to instantly build unbreakable trust and shorten your consult time while increasing your conversions. Correctly and easily set expectations to effectively screen out problem patients. Understand which patients early in the consult want surgical versus non-surgical, face versus body, skincare versus injectables, or a combination approach. Conversions, we're going to learn how to convert and optimally upsell. Understand what your patient is ready for right now. This is a no pressure approach to sales and allows the patients to successfully drive their own conversions. and you will learn the correct positioning for most consistent conversions. With cancellations, we share how you allow to create flexibility that you didn't know was possible with your patients, how to eliminate buyer's remorse, how to convert cancellations into upsells or downsells or reschedules whenever possible, how to turn a refund into a loyal customer. Now on day 3, to set you way apart from your competition as a bonus, we're going to spend a good amount of time on something I haven't really touched on today, but is a huge part of having a successful practice that I'm talking about. This is rockstar marketing. This is where we learn step by step the process for generating new, highly qualified leads every day. We're going to demystify Facebook marketing and learn the steps to marketing your practice for the future. How to market so that when your patients come to your office, they're already sold. How to make yourself competition proof and become the celebrity and trusted resource in your niche. How to master the art of multiple touches. How to correctly engage clients in your sales funnel. How to create a leak-proof sales funnel, and understand what causes you to burn leads and how to prevent it. How to maximize marketing dollars and eliminate old strategies that aren't bringing you business. You may be wondering how PPMD Live is different from other events. PPMD Live is not theoretical, not given to you by non-plastic surgeons, non-business owners, non-results producers. Practice Profitability MD Live is engaging and the best investment you will ever make in your staff. Specialized training for your staff is invaluable. Can your staff really improve without proper training? If you are expecting your staff to produce different results, then they must be trained with new information. If you want high-level results from your staff without high-level training, that's like getting a facelift result from just using fillers. It's not going to happen. Why is this such a great value? The money is hiding in your practice, and we will find it every time. The money is always there. You just need to know where to look. If you are making one additional conversion each day, week, or month for 6 months or 1 year, or if you were able to prevent one cancellation each day, week, or month, what would that translate into for you? Now, this is not just business information. You're going to be getting CME credit at this event because this will improve your patient care. Patient care suffers when business processes are lacking or inadequate, and this is CME accredited. I want to invite you to sign up today for the event and get on a call with me so we can find out how the 7 C's will impact your practice. We put up the Calendly link before. I'm going to put that up here and again in a moment, because what you do today will determine what you create in the year 2020. So visit our link, calendly.com/PPMD, to set up a brief profitability call. I will guide you on how we use the 7 C's to find that revenue in your practice. There are a limited number of spots where you can text me if you don't find something that fits for you, 813-422-8444. And when you look at 2020 coming up, what do you envision for your staff, your office, and your patients? What you do now determines what you see in the following year. This determines the foundation. What if you broke the ceiling, an emotional ceiling, a financial ceiling, a hiring ceiling? What if you created something new and you got to enjoy the fruits of your labor for the rest of the year and beyond? So we're all going to be there at Practice Profitability MD Live, October 18, 19, 20 in the Tampa, Florida. Meet myself, meet my team, and meet Team Bellus Medical. We're diving into the 7 C's, the revenue generating machine, and we will walk you through our rockstar marketing so that your patients know how amazing you are, and you don't have to burn money on marketing that no one responds to. Please give us a call to learn more, to take advantage of the skin pen at $34.95. It's an amazing value. Keyword profitability, 888-372-3982. You can text me for your meeting if you don't find something on the Calendly, 813-422-8444. Now, if I could make a point that one conversion of filler, maybe 2, you could bring your staff to this event. Basically 1 conversion per day. You could make this up even a couple hundred times a year using the 7 C's. This isn't really about the money. It's about walking into your office every day and knowing your team is doing what needs to be done, that business is being taken care of, and you aren't letting patients, conversions, or revenue slip through the cracks. This is about how I transformed not just my practice, not just my revenue. This transformed my life. my quality of life is so much better. The feeling in the office, the ability to trust the team, the sense of accomplishment, seeing my team continue to grow and thrive as our patients and my business do the same. There is a big difference between worrying about how my practice will grow and seeing it actually grow. And let's face it, you can't really escape the status quo of our results if we don't step outside of our office. So often we know, looking at patients every single day, when they step out of their life and come into our office, they see so many more possibilities for their cosmetic appearance. That is why PPMD is so important. Practice Profitability MD allows you to see the subtle differences in your practice that make all the difference in the world by stepping out of your practice. One more time, here's the phone numbers for the special on SkinPen, $34.95, wonderful value, $1,500 off. This is a deadline of 5 p.m. by Friday, this Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time, keyword profitability, and call my number or text. Text is best, 813-422-8444. Here's a picture from our last event. Obviously, bringing your staff to this event will be hugely beneficial for your staff and for your own personal well-being. And I believe in this so much that we've made it easy to bring your staff. So let's get on a call. Let's talk about the 7 C's. And just the fact that you're on this webinar, it really does show that there's something you want to change or that you're looking to get to the next level. Add an additional $1 million to your revenue. Have a rock star staff. Take your marketing to the next level and book your schedule solid. If it's any of these or all of these, then the next level is PPMD Live, so make sure you do not miss out on this life-changing event. Visit the site, click to sign up now. Let's talk. I look forward to talking to you soon. I would like to thank you for being on the webinar today. I look forward to seeing you on the phone call at PPMD Live. You are going to get results. I am not sure what your goals are. Hopefully, we were able to inspire some new goals in the webinar today. When I set my goals, we look for another $500,000 or another $1 million. What staff fulfillment are we going to have? I'd like to ask you, what is the one thing you want to create? Or the one thing you want to get off your back? What would you do if you no longer had problems with staff turnover? We are all here to get you on track to succeed and achieve your goals. Let's go make that happen. It's not going to happen on its own. I invite you to come to PPMD Live. So check out the link. This isn't about revenue. This is about raising your standards. Time is valuable. If we're going to step up to the plate, we might as well hit as many home runs as possible. Don't let the opportunity pass you by. Take charge of your future, your practice, and your revenues. The knowledge is here. It's all here. You just have to show up. Click on these links. Give the number a call. Thank you again, Angela. Thank you, Bellus Medical. And thank you for sharing your time here. We are so excited to meet you and see you soon. And we are wrapping up this webinar, so we will see you and talk to you soon. Take care, and thanks for listening.